Shadows beneath the surface. It was a cold, misty morning when I first arrived in the small Scottish village of Drumnadrochit, nestled on the shores of Loch Ness. As a journalist, I had traveled the world in search of stories, but none had intrigued me more than the legend of the Loch Ness monster. The locals called it Nessie, and tales of its sightings had been whispered for generations. I checked into a quaint bed and breakfast run by an elderly couple, the McGregors. Mrs. McGregor, a stout woman with kind eyes, served me a hearty breakfast while her husband, a wiry man with a stern demeanor, eyed me curiously. "Here for the monster, are ye?" Mr. McGregor finally asked, his thick Scottish accent almost a growl. I nodded, sensing both skepticism and concern in his gaze. "I'm hoping to find some evidence of its existence," I replied. Mrs. McGregor chuckled softly. "Many have tried, lad, and many have failed. But be careful what you wish for. The loch holds more than just cold water." I thanked them for their hospitality and set off towards the loch, the fog hanging heavy in the air, adding to the eerie atmosphere. My plan was to spend a few days by the water, hoping to capture something, anything on film. The first day was uneventful. The loch was beautiful, its dark waters calm and mysterious. I set up my camera equipment and scanned the horizon, but there was no sign of the legendary creature. As night fell, the temperature dropped, and I retreated to my cozy room, feeling a mixture of disappointment and anticipation. The second day, I decided to rent a small boat and explore the loch more closely. The water was eerily still, the only sounds the gentle lapping of waves against the boat and the distant call of birds. Hours passed with no sign of Nessie, but as dusk approached, I felt an inexplicable sense of unease. Suddenly, the boat rocked violently as if something enormous had brushed against it from beneath. I grabbed my camera and peered over the side, but the dark water revealed nothing. My heart pounded as I scanned the surface, half expecting the monster to rise up and drag me down. The boat rocked again, and this time I saw it. A shadowy figure, massive and serpentine, gliding just beneath the surface. I fumbled with my camera, snapping photos frantically, my hands shaking with fear and excitement. Then, just as quickly as it had appeared, the shadow vanished. The boat steadied, and the water calmed once more. I sat back, breathless and trembling. Had I really seen it? Or was it just a trick of the light and my overactive imagination? I returned to shore, my mind racing. I reviewed the photos, but they were disappointingly blurry, the figure barely discernible. Frustrated, I decided to visit the local pub, hoping to find someone with more knowledge of the loch and its mysteries. The pub was a cozy, dimly lit place, filled with the chatter of locals and the warmth of a roaring fire. I ordered a drink and struck up a conversation with the bartender, a burly man named Angus. "You look like you've seen a ghost," Angus remarked, pouring me a generous measure of whiskey. "I think I saw something in the loch today," I confessed. "Something big?" Angus raised an eyebrow. "Aye, that'd be Nessie then. She likes to tease, showing herself just enough to keep the legend alive." A grizzled old man sitting at the bar chimed in. "Seen her myself, I have. Many years ago. She's not just a beast, lad. There's something otherworldly about her." I leaned in, eager to hear more. "What do you mean?" The old man took a long sip of his drink, his eyes distant. "The loch is ancient, you see. Older than the hills around it, and Nessie, she's a part of it, a guardian of sorts. But she's also a harbinger. When she appears, bad things happen." A chill ran down my spine. "Like what?" "Disappearances, mostly," he said quietly. "People who go out on the loch and never come back. Strange lights in the water at night. It's as if she's protecting something, or keeping something trapped." I thanked the old man and Angus, their words echoing in my mind as I made my way back to the bed and breakfast. That night, I lay awake, listening to the sounds of the loch outside my window. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. On the third day, I decided to return to the water, determined to get clearer evidence. I rented the boat again and ventured out, this time with a sense of foreboding. The sky was overcast, casting a gloomy pallor over the loch. Hours passed with no sign of Nessie. I began to doubt myself, wondering if I had truly seen anything at all. Then, as I neared the center of the loch, the water began to churn violently. Waves rocked the boat, and a deep, guttural roar echoed across the water. I clung to the side of the boat, my heart racing. The shadow appeared again, larger and clearer this time. It rose from the depths, breaking the surface with a terrifying grace. Nessie was massive, her dark, scaled body glistening in the dim light. Her eyes, ancient and intelligent, locked onto mine. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Then, with a powerful sweep of her tail, Nessie dove back into the depths, dragging the boat with her. I was thrown into the icy water, my breath knocked out of me by the shock. Panic set in as I struggled to stay afloat. The water was dark and cold, sapping my strength. I felt something brush against my leg and I screamed, thrashing wildly. But then I saw it, a faint light beneath the surface, growing brighter. The light enveloped me, and suddenly I was no longer in the loch. I was in a vast, underwater cavern, the walls lined with strange, glowing symbols. Nessie was there, her presence both terrifying and majestic. She spoke, not with words, but with thoughts that echoed in my mind. You seek the truth, human, but the truth is not for you to know. I felt a surge of fear and awe. What are you? I managed to think, my mind reaching out to hers. I am the guardian of this place, she replied. I protect the secrets of the deep. You are not meant to be here. The light intensified, blinding me. When it faded, I was back in the boat, soaked and shivering. The loch was calm once more, as if nothing had happened. I paddled back to shore, my mind reeling with the encounter. I never spoke of what I saw in the cavern. The photos I took were lost, the memory card mysteriously corrupted, but the experience changed me. I knew that some mysteries were meant to remain unsolved, some legends best left alone. The Loch Ness monster is real, but she is not just a creature of flesh and blood. She is a guardian of ancient secrets, a harbinger of the unknown. And for those who dare to seek her out, the loch holds more than just cold water. It holds shadows beneath the surface and the terrifying truth of what lies in the depths.